All right. Well, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. I'm Derek Lokowitz, and I'd like to welcome you to our special partner event showcasing the Leahy Pulse dashboard for Macola. Joining me today from the Donis Group is Bob Donald, as well as Stacey Benison from Leahy Consulting. Before I get things started, I wanted to go over a couple of quick housekeeping items like I usually do. Just wanted to let you know we are recording today's presentation, so I've placed everybody in the attendees group on mute. So you will have the ability to interact with us though by using the Q&A functions as well as the chat area. So if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to me that way. We will go from there. We will obviously set aside time towards the end of the presentation to go over any of the questions that you have. All right, so with that, let's take a look at today's agenda. Looks pretty standard, right? Doing some quick intros here. Bob's going to talk to you a little bit about who the Donis Group is if you're not familiar with us. And then we're going to hand things over to, excuse me, Stacey. She'll do a little overview of who Leahy is. And then she's going to get into the moment you've all been waiting for, or she'll go through the Pulse dashboard and show you the demonstration of how that interacts and integrates with your Macola instance. We'll go through your questions and then we'll finalize everything with some next steps and get you guys back on the rest of your day. So with that, I'm going to move the slide over and Bob, take it away.
Yes, hi, my name is Bob Donald. I'd like to welcome you all to our seminar today. Just to give you an idea, we started the Donis Group in 1996. We have been working with Macola since 1998. We are currently a registered VAR with them. We have full support from the ECI group, which is Macola. We do support Progression, ES, and the M10 series. We've partnered with our customers from the beginning to make sure that they have a success with their software. And with the product that you're about to see, you'll see that you can take the data that's already in Macola and then use it to your advantage. On top of the Macola, we are also resellers for a product called Acumatica. We're a silver partner with them, which is a cloud-based ERP product as well. So with that, I'd like to hand it off then.
All right, Stacey, you've got the presenter rights.
All right. Let's see, everybody see that okay?
Looks good.
All right. Well, a little bit about myself, just a quick introduction. My name is Stacey Benison, and I'm with the Leahy Group. I am a certified public accountant by trade, so I sat for 20 plus years in the controller and CFO seat at several manufacturing distribution companies, mostly located here in the Midwest, but I worked for a couple of international companies, so I've got some experience around the world. And I've been working with the Macola product for probably a good 15 to 20 years off and on. And then I was one of the very first companies that worked with the Leahy Consulting Group on the Pulse dashboard. So I had some intimate knowledge when it was starting out. A little bit about the Leahy Group. The Leahy Consulting Company, we're located here in Cincinnati. This nice man in the picture is Mr. Mike Leahy, who was the founder of the company. He has over 40 years in business and over 30 years experience with Macola. And we have several consultants on staff that have at least 30 plus years of experience with Macola. So working with the Donis Group, it will be a myriad of experiences that you can pull from. We specialize in manufacturing and distribution companies. We have about 17 employees. The company itself was founded in Cincinnati, Ohio, but in the last few years, we've added several consultants that are across the country, so we can take care of whatever time zone somebody might be sitting in. So we've got some people that are spread throughout the U.S. Our core competency is to extract Macola data to help you make faster and better business decisions. And that's what the Pulse dashboard product is all about. You might be sitting there saying, okay, I got Macola, I've got all my reports, I do things on a daily basis, but what can Pulse dashboard really do for my company? And the Pulse dashboard product comes with a set of pre-built analysis reports that are set up for businesses that are the information that you're going to want to see on a daily basis. It's all the Macola data at your fingertips. So it can do very quick analysis to do things such as pinpoint shortages, take care of shipping on time, doing daily reporting on invoicing or bookings, manage your collections, things of that nature. And then we've built in some advanced concepts that have come about just from feedback from customers. So we always ask for feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. And we, over the years, have gotten a lot of feedback on inventory questions, inventory aging, trying to run MRP, things of that nature. And so we've added some of those into the Pulse dashboard that aren't necessarily in Macola. We've gotten several testimonials over the years from different customers about the Pulse product, and our favorite one is that the first one that's listed here that basically says, "This is the best analytical tool I've used in my career, my professional career." And I think as you see the product, you'll understand why this person said this, because there are so many ways that you can use this the way you individually want to, and not necessarily have to use what's canned out of the box. The way the Pulse dashboard works is there are several modules, and the modules run all the way from the executive to a report designer. The way we structure it is that you can become a monthly subscriber to the Pulse dashboard, and then you will have access to all of the modules. Or if you say, you know what, we don't do manufacturing, all we need is, the executive and the customer service and maybe the purchasing, then you can buy it by module and pick and choose. In the end, we can set it up however you want for your business. But one of the best things that comes with Pulse Dashboard is the fact that you get unlimited training and you get unlimited support, and that is forever. There's an annual maintenance fee that comes with the software that allows you to call us anytime, night or day, and ask whatever questions you want to ask, and someone on our Pulse Dashboard staff will respond. So it's unlimited support. Plus, you always have the benefit of, as we develop new reports and new information, it gets rolled out to you automatically. We've added a couple of new features for anyone that might have seen this product before. We've added some new features recently, and one of those is the Pulse Dashboard Scheduler. This scheduler automatically exports and emails reports to people in your organization. The impetus for this was we had a customer that had salespeople all across the country that wanted their reports once a week, but they didn't want to have to find a terminal server and log in and try to download them themselves. So what they asked for was, isn't there a way we can automatically run all these reports, have them ship out by email, have them get them, just be able to review them and not have to worry about a person sitting there and doing it? And so one of the new features that we have is we have certain reports inside Pulse that we can do that with. So if you have a sales team that's throughout the country, if you have executives in a different place that want to get certain reports without pulling them themselves, that's a new feature that's available. We've also added several inventory reconciliation type reports to reconcile not only your physical inventory to your general ledger, but also when they're taking the physical inventory to reconcile your perpetual inventory to what's on hand. So those are some new features, and we'll talk about those more as we get into the software. This is kind of our mantra here. Macola has the data, but Pulse gives you the information. So we trust that this software will give you the information that you need to make the business decisions that you need to make. like I said, when you purchase the software, it comes with the dashboard reports for each department. You can see here our phone number. You'll have access to our unlimited support line, and any questions you would have, you would just pop them over and you get an answer. So that's a little bit about who Leahy Consulting is. And then, like he said, the moment you've all been waiting for is to actually look at the software. Well, let's see if we can do that. Can we see the screen okay?
Looks great.
Okay, good. All right. So the way, like I said, the way the software is laid out is that when you come into the software, you have all of these various modules at the top. And inside each module, then you would have what we call a tab. And a tab is like a set of reports. And you can set these up and customize them any way you want. So whatever information you might decide you want on a specific tab, or however you want the reports laid out to be. For instance, if I don't like this purchase order report over here, I can pick it up, I can drag it over here and say, okay, I want that to be over here. I can realign this where I take something off of the screen, leave it on, any kind of setup that way. So what we're going to kind of do as we go through here is the first thing I'm going to kind of show you is how we navigate this, and then we'll kind of go through some scenarios that might apply to your business as a whole. The way these individual reports, so we're on the summary tab in the executive module, and then each one of these boxes is an individual report. So as you can see, as I move through each of these reports, each report has a standard set of small icons over here to the right, and those icons let you export. You can export these reports, you can email these reports, you can send them to Excel, you can PDF them, however you want to send them. The other buttons here are to refresh the reports, to set some parameters, and to do some filters. So we'll kind of go through those as we go through this demonstration. The report itself, anytime you go into a report where there is an underline under anything, so say this customer order summary, this order summary is going to give you your month-to-date orders entered, your invoiced month-to-date, and your open orders, which would be your backlog. And you can see that from month-to-date, year-to-date, month prior year, last year, year-to-date, and total prior year. From here, anytime there's something that's outlined, you can drill down into that. And when you drill down into it, you get another screen that will give you detailed information on that screen. Usually. There we go. I don't know what the first thing was. That was a little fluky. But what we get here then is, of that $2.1 million of open orders, this gives you the detailed information on that particular $2.1 million. And then from there, you can also, as you can see, a lot of times your screens will be split, and you will have the general information at the top, and then you get another level of detail below that. So for instance, in this particular case, the Cincinnati distributors are made up, this $1.1 million of orders for Cincinnati distributors are made up of these line items for these dollar amounts down here at the bottom. Now, all of that is nice, and that's kind of how it comes out of the box. But if you're looking at this report and you say, you know what, I want to know what state these orders are coming from, and maybe I want to know what salesperson, and I need to kind of customize this the way I want it. On any of the reports that we have, there's this little magic grid here. We call this, its technical name is actually the field chooser. We call it the magic grid, basically. If you click on the magic grid, what you get is you get all of the fields that are available to you to put into this report. As you can see, it's a big long list. So what we do is we have this one line right up here at the top so that you don't have to scroll through all that and try to figure out what I want to put in there. I can click into this top line and say I want to know what fields are the state fields. So say I want to add the customer state to the order, to this order report. If I click on this, I can add it to the visible and it will go over here to the visible. I can double click it and it will also go over here to the visible. And then I can move it in the report wherever I want it to go. So I wanted to add the customer state, and then maybe I wanted to add the salesperson. And as you can see, all of these have salesperson in them. So then I can also go further. If I add the salesperson, I can get the salesperson's name. I can also get their number. If you do commissions inside Macola, you can add the commission amounts, commission percentages, whatever information you might want on those particular orders. Once you've done that, you just hit OK. And then as you can see, it returned that into your view. Now, anytime you customize a report, it is your view. So your view will stay this way, even after you go out of the report. If someone else comes in, they may not necessarily see your view. Now, we do have ways that we are able to save and share these reports between individuals in a company. So you can do that. It's not a difficult process. But when you're making the changes yourself, they get retained by you and no one else is seeing them. Also in these grids, you have the ability to sort. You have the ability to filter. So if you only wanted to see sales in Ohio, or if you only wanted to see sales for a certain salesperson, you could, pick the salesperson and then you're only going to get that person. And then it shows you kind of down here how that's filtered. So in general, any report inside Pulse will have this type of drill down capability and this type of field chooser type ability. So even the graphs that we have that are on the main screen, these graphs here, you can drill down into these and they'll show you the drill down capability. They have drill down capability as well. So you're able to get down into the nitty gritty of what is inside your Macola data. Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple different scenarios of things that may have happened. Most of these are things that have happened in different people's businesses, things I have seen, things we've seen come into our support desk. The first one is, let's imagine it's Monday morning and you're looking at what your manufacturing people are going to manufacture for the week, and so you have pick tickets that need to go out on the floor. You're going to send those pick tickets out. People are going to go pull what needs to be pulled, and through this week or through month end, we have this many orders to ship, $118,000 worth of orders, and we only have $39,000 available, and you're like, this doesn't look so good. So what we have built are some reports that are inside our customer service module that will help the person trying to manage the floor look at the items that are causing shortages. Now, this isn't like the components. We have another area that takes care of the components, but these are the items on customer orders that are causing shortages, and you're not going to be able to ship your order. The idea being that if someone is kind of managing the front end of making sure you're delivering on time, they can coordinate or try to pull from the production staff and kind of negotiate, hey, we need to pull this order forward or that order forward, and we need your help to do so. So anytime we talked about the little field chooser, but the other thing we have here is this little red wrench. And the red wrench is also another way that you can filter the information that you're going to want to see. So say we sent those pick tickets out and we only wanted to do the shipments for this week. What we would do is we would change this report to only show like the next 5 days. And then we say, okay. And then it refreshes its information. And what you can see here is we have 37 orders that, we, according to the time frame of this, and this is just test data, so sometimes it's a little, a little bit not accurate. So, but during the week of June the 10th of 2014, we had 37 orders that needed to be shipped that were short. And what this overall report will show you is the item, the earliest replenishment date. And if you're used to looking at the production staff or your MRP reports or anything like that, anything that doesn't have an earliest replenishment date but has demand, we're really in trouble with, because that means we don't have any demand. We don't have any replenishment to cover the demand that we have. But the drill downs on this report are really kind of interesting, because you can drill into an item on this report and you can see that we've color coded this. Green actually means that, we can ship those orders. So these orders are okay. If it's red, that means we don't have orders to cover that. And then if it's white, it's actually yellow if you have a yellow filter on your screen, but it mostly looks white to me. If you have white lines, those are the replenishment that will enable shipment. So basically what we've done is we kind of developed our own MRP software that gives you the replenishment date along with the demand date. And you might say, well, how does this help me? Well, what that does is it gives you the ability to really see when those orders are going to be short and when they're going to be earliest replenished. And if you don't have any replenishment, you can go talk to the production guy and maybe expedite that and say, what, can we get this made to be able to meet the production date, to be able to meet the order date of the customer. Now, the idea is not that you would look at this after you've sent your pig tickets out. The idea is you would look at it, the week before, and kind of take a look at it and say, what, this is what we need, and this is how, these are the parts that were short, and this is what it looks like. So this is just a tool to assist with, being able to see the orders. Along with that, we have some on-time shipping graphs that will help assist with those as well. So that first scenario is basically, using your summary order. You're on the executive tab using the summary order and seeing that you have definite shortages here, and then going to that customer service module and seeing what those shortages are to be able to move to the next level. So that's kind of our first example, or our first scenario. The second scenario that is one that has come up just in the last year as we talk about the craziness with COVID, kind of pulls us into the financial module. And I'm going to kind of show you a couple different tabs here in the financial module just to give you the flavor. The first thing I will say, though, about our financial module is because, Progression has financial statements, M10 has the Excel add-in. We are not trying to be your financial reporting module. So this is not, we've not developed Pulse Dashboard to do balance sheets and do P&L statements. We can come up with a balance sheet out of Pulse. We can come out of a trial balance, but our primary focus with the financial module is not to provide financial statements, it's to give you some tools to analyze those financial statements. So the first one is with COVID. If we turn back the clock to when COVID was starting, one of the biggest things that happened that affected all businesses was all of a sudden everybody was sent home, and there wasn't anybody in any business to send out checks to make payments, and there wasn't anybody in the receiving businesses to receive those checks and post the payments. And during that initial period when we were all trying to figure out how to work from home, now we've pretty much all got that figured out, but at the beginning it was a little rough. So what we did was there was this report we leaned on for a lot of our customers, and what this is a cash flow forecast. So basically what you have is you have things that are in Macola that affect your cash. So you have your current cash balance, your AR, your unshipped orders, things of that nature. Then you also have the ability to add other items that might not be in Macola. Like if you don't do your payroll in Macola, loan payments that might not be scheduled in your AP, things of that nature that you want to forecast for, but they're not in there, you can put those in the settings of this report. So you're able to add other things in here, pluses or minuses, to be able to forecast your cash. So basically at the beginning of COVID, it was like, okay, if everything rolls on okay and everything is coming in when it's due and we're making the payments when we're due, you can see that we had receivables of $2 million coming in and we had good cash flow and we're going on down the road. However, we wanted to take a look at that and say, we had several businesses that wanted to say, okay, what happens if my customers pay me 15 days later or 20 days later or 30 days later? So basically what we do is we clone this report and put another report here, and then you can edit your settings. And on the accounts receivable tab, you can offset this by either days or a percentage, and then use the average days to pay. You can age it by due date or by invoice date, or the invoice date plus their average days to pay. So you could change this and manipulate the forecast. And as you can see, when we did that, if they paid 15 days late, our cash flow, was cut more in half. We only had $800,000 we were going to receive, and a lot of that moved to the next 60 days. So we had a lot of customers that liked this because they could set this up and do a lot of what if scenarios on what was coming in or going out, and you could see it in a real-time environment without having to do a lot of manipulation. And it actually does go in and pull the accounts right out of Macola. So you don't have to pull that report, type it into an Excel spreadsheet, run the manipulation, and do a lot of formulas. So that was kind of the first thing that came out of COVID. Then the second thing that came out of COVID was, we had a lot of customers that wanted to look at specific accounts. And you'll be able to tell on this GL account analysis that these are kind of like controllable accounts, but they wanted to be able to see for a period of time in a monthly basis, what is happening with my freight charges, what's happening with my labor. So what you can do with this report is set up, if you have a block of accounts that you really want to keep track of on a monthly basis, you set those up. You tell the settings which accounts you want to be in here, what the range is, and you can set a dynamic date range. You can do it for the whole year, you can do it for last year, however you want to look at it. And then it will pull the account right out of Macola. And then if you need to drill down into that, you just hit the button, you drill down, and you can see who the vendor was, that it was an AP voucher, and how many there were, and what makes up the total. So that tool has been invaluable for people that just want to keep a watch on a handful of accounts, or if you have some multiple accountants that, some are responsible for certain accounts and others are responsible for others. The third area that's a biggie in the financial module that a lot of people use um, are these departmental expenses. And what we can do is we can set it up based upon your departments that you've set inside Macola, and we can pull expenses for different departments. So the accounting department, the operations department, and then these can go out to your departmental managers on a monthly basis, and they can look at these. They can look at these expenses themselves, and they can drill down into here versus their budget that might be loaded. And if they have expenses that they want to question or things like that, they can come to the accounting people with intelligent questions instead of, I don't know what's in this number, or I don't think this should be my charge, it should go here. It cuts out a lot of the initial debate about what, expenses belong to what department. So you can kind of easily see what each department is doing. So it gives the departmental managers, you can put this on their Pulse dashboard on their desktop. They can look at it, and you don't have to rewrite the reports or do the research every time. It just becomes a self-service world. So that kind of is, the second area that we like to focus on. Do we have any questions yet? We want to taking a break for a moment.
Sorry about that. I was
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, the only questions that have come in were related to so. I mean, obviously we can jump out of it, but are there limitations to what types of data you can be communicated, or is it just the full data, the full stack?
It's pretty much the full stack that's in Macola. If the data is in Macola, now we do have some reports that are a little more complex and might be customized reports that we would have to, like if you have some complex crystal reports that you want to replicate inside of dashboard. Sometimes those are a little bit more complex, but in general, if the data is in the Macola database, we can get it out, and we're pretty much able to do it on a real-time basis. And we're kind of going to talk about that here in a minute. That's a good segue right into our inventory module, because when we talk about the inventory module, there are things happening all day long, and all day long you're like, okay, how do you keep this on a real-time basis? And there are lots of things that in the inventory module are real-time, and then there are also some things that run on a stored procedure overnight or 2 or 3 times throughout the day. Some of the longer reports. But for the most part, we're able to refresh a module in a very short period of time. And inventory is kind of usually the biggest asset that people have, the biggest asset that a company has. And there's all kinds of talk all the time about right sizing your inventory. And then going back to the old COVID thing again, with the COVID environment that we've been in for the last year, we've all heard about all the supply chain issues with the ships sitting off the shore and things taking time to get across the water. This inventory module has become even more important to people. And it's worth noting that when we built the inventory module, that all of the terms and all of the data strictly follows the APIX rules. So these were all run through one of the APIX coaches to make sure that we were calculating months on hand, average usage, things like that, all according to the APIX rules. So on the main summary screen in the inventory module, we have an inventory turns graph that will give you turns, and this can be set. We usually do it on a 3-month trailing, because the longer those months are on the inventory turns, the flatter that curve looks, so you don't get a real picture of, is your inventory turn going up or down? So we usually recommend that people leave it at 3 months. We also have a regular stock status report that can do it by class, by product category, will age your inventory. And then this block here is one of the biggest ones that people use just to clean up their Macola database. Everybody knows that the more hands you have in the pot, the more things get a little, the data can get a little corrupt, or data can get a little untrue. And what we did was create this exception summary that basically will go into your database and tell you, I have 1,100 items with no cost. Okay, well, that's great, but what are they? Well, it's as easy as clicking a button and here's your 1,100, and you can go figure out what needs to be done with those and fix them. Divide it up, hand it off, and hopefully get your data cleaned up. Items with no buyer planner code, items not counted in the last physical, things of that nature. So this screen here is one of the biggies. The inventory reports have all kind of developed over time, and they evolve all the time because people are always asking us for things relative to inventory. But this inventory status screen is one that can do purchased or manufactured parts. It gives you the item. All of the blue shaded items are generally straight out of Macola. But then you might, if you know inventory, you're looking at this middle section that's really kind of yellowish pink. These are all developed, calculated from our stored procedure. And basically what this does is this will give you the current months on hand, the usage, 3, 6, 12 months, and then these dates. And a lot of people love these dates because it gives you a handle on what's really happening. And some of these dates aren't even in Macola. We have to go through multiple tables to figure out, okay, what was the last usage date? What was the last activity date on this item, if ever? When did we purchase it last? When did we manufacture it last? When did we sell it last? So this whole section in the middle is great for people that are analyzing inventory, how much inventory on hand. If I have 52,000 months on hand, and I bought it last week, why? It allows you to quickly narrow down, because what we've done is we've basically sorted this report on months on hand. So you can quickly, sort it one way or the other way, and then look at what you have on hand versus when you last purchased it or when you last sold it, and try to determine how we keep that inventory. The idea being that holding that inventory and having it on in stock is, carrying charges that you're having to deal with. The other thing that you can always add to this is average cost, and you can add last cost, you can add standard cost, depending on what your costing method is. So we've built this to be able to give you a quick snapshot of, what's on order, what's on hand. On this particular report, I don't see the on-hand quantity, but that would easily be something that you could go here and then you could add the on-hand amount. Then the next report that we're moving to is the multi-level bill of material. And the multi-level bill of material will give you the information on a particular item, and will also give you any components. I have purchased parts here. I don't have manufactured parts in this database right now. So unfortunately, I can't give you a good snapshot of the sequence and the parent and all of that. But one of the things that a lot of people will use this report for is they might pull something up and use it to compare the standard cost, the average cost, the last cost, to be able to to be able to say, like in this particular instance, do we have our costs set on an item correctly? The inventory detail view screen, and this is either people's favorite screen or sometimes their worst screen, because I'm going to pull up a part number here that we use for demonstration purposes. But when you first look at this screen, you're like, oh my goodness. And what this screen does is it kind of replicates the Macola MRP report for an item. And that's a great report inside Macola, but hasn't been updated in a lot of years. And so what we tried to do was take that information, make it so you can pull it for any one item, and then be able to pull this MRP screen for a date range, and then be able to have all the information that you would have in the MRP world. So, you can do an inventory turns graph from here on that particular item and see whether we're going up or down. You can look at all the inventory transactions for this particular item. So if you have a question on what's been happening on that particular item, you can drill down on that. You can look at the aging on that particular item. And then each one of these areas will give you various other information. So you have a summary here of what's happened with that particular part. You also have location information, so how many you have in each location, and that can go down to bin and lot and serialized or not, however you would run your inventory. As we can compress or expand these, and you can also move the screen around if you can catch this little. I'm not as great at it with this fancy mouse, but if you can catch this, you can move this up and down so that you can see various things. You've got a historical summary. Now, this part doesn't have produced and usage and transfers and all of that, but if this part had all of those categories filled in, this grid would be filled in, and you can see that it's by month, so that you can see the history of what's happened with that part by month. We've got an MRP summary here, and then a bill of material, which is kind of a flat bill. It's not a multi-level bill. It's just a single level bill of material. And then all parts have a where used. So that area of the system allows you to have, access to what's happening with a part, and can give you any kind of information that you're looking for on a part without having to go back into Macola and look for the right crystal report that it's on, and dig and dig and dig. Along those lines, we also have tried to, and when we're talking about inventory, one of the things that we've tried to do is we've tried to eliminate some of the drudgery of data entry. So we do have some additional tools that can come with the Pulse dashboard. One of those is our purchase order generator. Up here under the purchasing, we have a purchase order generator. And when you open this up, now, for the most part, when you're working in Pulse Dashboard, you're not writing back to Macola. Everything is extracting it out of Macola. You can send it out to Excel, you can manipulate it however you want, but you're not generally writing back to Macola. So generally, you can't hurt the database by working in Pulse Dashboard. On the flip side, there are a couple of things where we do interact with the Macola database and have the ability, and this PO generator is one of those areas. I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna pick that I wanna look at this buyer, and I'm gonna have a cutoff date of today, and I'm gonna look at the Cincinnati location. So I'm gonna make those my settings, and then I'm gonna refresh this data. And what I get here then is I get a list of vendors for this buyer that have demand based on that MRP that we were just looking at. So say I go here to Cincinnati Heating and I press the button. Well, all of these are purchase orders that we need to generate for Cincinnati Heating. So if I want to go ahead and, take care of these, what I can do is I can say, okay, you know what, I'm going to issue a PO for this, and a PO for this, and a PO for this. And then I'm going to hit this button that says create the PO. It does not yet create the PO. It never creates the PO inside Macola until you hit the save button. But it does enable you to see. It will go into Macola and pull the next PO number. It will also let you change the quantity. So say this is popped up with, these 3 items on here, but you don't want to, you don't want to order 100, you want to order 150, you can just, type it in there, and then this PO, if we were to save it, would be issued for 150. So what it does is it eliminates the drudgery of somebody having to go into Macola, pull that order up, give it the next order number, type all this stuff in. It pulls the majority of that in for you, and then it can be in, it can be in several statuses. It can be saved as an unreleased purchase order, a released purchase order, or a printed purchase order. Excuse me. So that feature a lot of people like because it eliminates a lot of the uh, hand keying of a whole bunch of purchase orders. So that's kind of an added feature. As I move to kind of our last area, our last scenario, I'm going to kind of move to the sales and marketing area. And in this area, we look at all different categories, and a lot of times we'll start on this executive screen, and then we move from there. Well, in the sales and marketing area, we have various ways to analyze things. And in this area, up here under sales and marketing, this is another area where we do have the ability to pull out from Excel and write back to Excel. We have a budgeting module that we've put in place where we can, what we like to say is we can measure anything by anything. I mean, we can do it by customer, by salesperson, by item, by customer and item, by alternate addresses, by item and location. We can feed these budgets however you want to feed the budget. And then what we can also do is we can create the budget either by history, we can import it from Excel, we can take something, we can import it and then adjust it. So we've got the ability to load that budget into here and be able to use it to analyze various reports. And then on the summary screen in the sales and marketing area, you can analyze sales by customer, by item, by product. But one of the other biggest areas where we've had a lot of discussion is a lot of margin analysis. And we can, because of all the different ways that we can put in those budgets, we can look at product category. This could be salesperson, however you wanted to look at that. We can look at invoice dollars, year-to-date dollars, margin percentages, various things of that nature. The other thing that's usually standard is, like in this report, it's taking your year-to-date margin based upon whatever costing method you're using, like standard cost or average cost. What you can do as well is, in a lot of instances, people want to look at that based upon last cost. And what you can do is we're able to add custom formulas as well into these scenarios. So if you wanted to measure your margin based upon say the last cost, we could write a formula very similar to an Excel formula in this editor, and then we would add it to the field, and you could measure this based upon your last cost. So we've had some customers come to us just lately and say, you know what, with the changing in supply chain and prices going up, we want to analyze our margins differently. This this margin analysis can be done by month, it can be done by year, it can be done by prior year, and then also we can change what those calculations are depending on how you want them. So this gives us the ability to change those formulas and modify them, and that's happening kind of more and more with the whole supply chain. We also have some other things that I'm not going to go into today, but we also have a demand planner that is for any companies that ship product over the water for a long lead time items. We can help with demand planning for that, and it gives you the ability to schedule your purchase orders and things of that nature. And with that, that's pretty much my rundown of different scenarios. We have some modules that we didn't touch on, purchasing, production, material requirements. Those are more like shop floor related. And then probably the only two other things I wanted to touch on just quickly are that the whole system as a whole is built on Microsoft SQL security. So it is able to be customized up in this user control area. You can give different users, so you would have all your users here, and then inside each module you can give them, ability to edit, to look at things, just to view, to export, to import. Each module has its own list, so it's easy to customize the accounts. And even beyond that, we can customize that security if you don't want salespeople to see costs, or only certain people should have. We have an extra level of GL account security, so only certain people can get to certain GL accounts. So that software security is pretty robust. We haven't had any complaints as far as software security. The other thing that I would mention is that as far as users go, it does not require a Macola license user to be a Pulse dashboard user. So you can have multiple Pulse dashboard users that may or may not be Macola users. So that provides you with some flexibility if you're limited on your Macola user license, but you still want to give some other people access to see the data. And then, I'm available to answer questions. If you decide you're interested in the product, we do generally offer a 20-day no-cost evaluation using your data, so we can set it up on your server and you can play around and see if it gives you what you want. But I think you'll find, I have found over the years, it is invaluable to cut through not having to call somebody to write a crystal report for you. You can get to the data really quick and really easy and customize it the way you want. And
All right. Yeah, I was just going to say.
I think I get to shut up.
No. They yeah, go ahead, get yourself a drink real quick. We did get a couple of questions in the queue. I had a chuckle. You made the comment about long lead time inventory items.
Yep.
Like, man, I think everybody's dealing with that right now, right? So
yes,
absolutely. It's
absolutely.
not just you. It's unfortunate, but
yeah,
it is.
It's the world we live in right now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I am going to go ahead and take over.
Okay.
And where's my PowerPoint? There we go. All right. So, all right, we're formally back. All right. So let's get to those questions here real quick. The first one that came in was kind of tied to what you originally what you had just mentioned about the Macola license. They were curious about what the licensing model was like. So
yep.
I don't know if you want to mention that, or I guess we talked yesterday about the pricing by module or by package. So I don't know if you want to
at
least kind of brush over that.
Yeah, the pricing is either a subscription-based pricing or it is priced by module. And then we generally do packages. I believe the executive module plus 5 users, and then it's a tiered pricing from there.
Okay, excellent. The next question was related to, let's see, what is the minimum level of SQL that you support?
The minimum level of what?
SQL?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I understand the question.
I think probably like
Age,
potentially last
like how old?
edition. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like
I
that.
know we've gone back to 2014. I don't know if we've gone back farther, but
Okay.
it would be worth a question to us. So, we've been around for a while with this, but I know we're moving, we're trying to keep it up to date with the latest versions because, but we have several customers that are on progression, that have been on progression for years and
Mm,
use Pulse Dashboard regularly.
okay. All right, great. The only other question is, do we go to Leahy directly, or do we go through Donis if we have more questions or are interested in additional demos?
How do you want to work it? I don't care, Derek.
That's fine. We'll you've got my email, obviously. Those
Yeah.
of you that are on this, so feel free to reach out to myself or any of the other Donis folks that you know, and we will make sure that we get the proper authorities for whatever you guys are looking for.
And
Authorities
I
isn't the
would
right
say,
word.
yeah, I would say once we got you up and running and got you installed, you would have full access to the Leahy support desk. So you would we have a support at Pulse Dashboard, and you send an email there, and then you would get response directly from a Leahy person. So we support the product usually direct, but initially, usually, our software sellers help us to, at least make the initial contact and get things installed.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, like I said, we will. If any of you guys have questions or want additional information, please reach out to us, and we'll get you in contact with proper folks from Leahy. All right. So what did I do? Wrong button. All right, so next slide is just real quick next steps, right? So if you are interested in, to kind of, I guess, good segue, if you are interested in a more customized discovery or demonstration of the product, please reach out to us. If you've received this, if you're on this webinar today, you're already on our newsletter. So if you are new to Donis, feel free to reach out to us, and we will get you subscribed to our regular newsletter. Obviously, check out donis.com and Leahy for any new content that's out there. We pride ourselves on trying to be ahead of the curve, or at least able to respond to current trends. And so we're always looking, keeping a lot of evergreen content out there to help you folks with dealing with your business decisions and whatnot. And that said, you can stay tuned. We definitely do these events at least once a quarter. We're kind of going into a little bit of a downtime here going into the holiday season, but we do have some interesting stuff planned for January, for Q1 of next year. In January could potentially be some pretty exciting news from one of our other partners. So I guess stay tuned for that.
Great.
And with that, thank you very much. Right. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. We appreciate you guys spending your afternoon with us, or a little bit of your afternoon, that is. And we'll let you guys have the rest of your day back. Thank you.
Thank you.